Hola chicos, today we're going to be taking notes on verbos de bota, or otherwise known in English as boot verbs or stem changing verbs. Verbos de bota are verbs that have a spelling change in the present tense. They still have regular AR, ER, and IR endings. So first, let's review the regular endings. Formas del presente. Let's start with AR verbs. First, we know we need to drop the AR, and then we'll add the following endings. For the yo form, we add o, tú, has. Él, ella, usted, we add a. Nosotros form is amos, and ellos, ellas, ustedes form is an. Hopefully this is a review for you, but make sure you get these notes written down anyways, as it will help you with the verbos de bota. Next, we'll look at ER and IR verbs. Just like with AR verbs, first we drop the ER, IR, and then we add the following endings. For the yo form, we add o. Tú form, es. Él, ella, usted form, we add e. Nosotros, we're going to add hemos or imos, depending on if it's an ER verb or an IR verb. And for ellos, ellas, ustedes, we add en. Remember that for ER and IR verbs, the yo, tú, él, and ellos forms are always the same. Now let's look at a stem-changing verb or a boot verb. We'll start with empezar. Notice empezar is an AR verb. Empezar means to begin. We're going to conjugate empezar with the AR endings, but notice a spelling change as we look at the forms. La forma yo es yo empiezo. Tú empiezas. Él, ella, usted empieza. Nosotros empezamos. And ellos, ellas, ustedes empiezan. Looking at these forms, why do you think that we call it a boot verb? The forms that change fit into a boot shape. The yo form changes to empiezo. The tú form changes to empiezas. The él, ella form changes to empieza. And the ellos form changes to empiezan. But if you look at the nosotros form, it stays empezamos. If we were to draw around the changing forms, we would be able to form a boot. Right now we're going to move on. If at any time you need to pause the video to copy down the forms, take your time and pause when you need to. Let's continue with the verb pensar. Pensar is also an AR verb, and it means to think or to plan. Just like with the verb empezar, the E in pensar is going to change to an IE in the boot forms. So we have yo, pienso, tú, piensas, él, ella, usted, piensa, nosotros, pensamos, y ellos, ellas, ustedes, piensan. Once again, if you need to pause to copy down the forms, do that now. And now we'll move on to the verb cerrar. Cerrar is another AR verb, and it means to close. We're going to have the same change in cerrar that we had in empezar and pensar. Yo cierro, tú cierras, él, ella, usted cierra, nosotros cerramos, ellos, ellas, ustedes cierran. Notice again in the nosotros form, there's not an IE. It stays an E in the nosotros form. Now we've looked at 3 AR verbs. Let's look at an ER verb. Let's move on to entender. Entender is an ER verb, and it means to understand. Just like with cerrar, pensar, and empezar, we're going to have an E to IE change. So yo entiendo. If you notice, the E changed to an IE in entiendo. Tú entiendes. Notice the ending matches the ER, IR endings. Él, ella, usted entiende. Nosotros entendemos. And ellos, ellas, ustedes entienden. Let's try another ER verb. Here we have querer. Querer is an ER verb that means to want. Yo quiero, tú quieres, él, ella, usted quiere, nosotros queremos, ellos, ellas, ustedes quieren. Finally, we'll move on to an IR verb. Our IR verb is preferir. It ends in an IR, so we use the ER, IR endings, and it means to prefer. Preferir is a little bit tricky since there are two E's inside the verb. We're going to change the E that's closest to the ending. The yo form is yo prefiero, tú prefieres, él, ella, usted prefiere, nosotros preferimos, and notice because it's an IR verb, we have imos, I-M-O-S for our ending, and ellos, ellas, ustedes prefieren. Notice again here, just like with all of the other verbs, there's not an E to IE change in the nosotros form. Now you've got the forms for 6 different stem changing boot verbs, verbos de bota. Go back to your Google Doc, click on the link for verbos de bota Google form, and use your notes to complete the sentences in the form. Adios.